Here we go.
All right.
We're going to be up and running on the YouTube.
Yay.
Mark Sinclair's in the house tonight.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Looking dapper he is. So glad to have him. Because, you know, our guest canceled on us this week yet again.
Yeah, we told everybody we had a guest coming in this week, and something came up, and he had to cancel.
Yep. Good old Johnny B. And hopefully he'll be in here next week or something. I don't know anymore.
I don't either.
I'm going to quit trying to be prophetic about it because...
Well, like I told you earlier, I think during the week I kind of realized that not so much for you guys, but this is to get Mikey out of his comfort zone by having a guest sitting there.
Well, you know what the good news is, fellas? God's got a plan.
Yes, he does.
It's already worked out.
Don't take much to get Mikey out of the comfort zone.
He's still riding the wave.
I am.
The wave has shifted. He's going.
I'll ride that wave until I see doors
now.
open.
Oh, Mike, we love to tease you.
Sure do.
What day is it?
It's Thursday night.
That's right. It's GSR night.
Feeling right. Oh, what a night. Yeah. Thursday night. Love it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Our YouTubers, our Mixlers. So anyway, I think tonight we're going to just chat about a few things. And since our guest had canceled, you know, the Lord's had us talking about his attributes. I think I felt led tonight to talk about healing and faith. I'm getting there.
Don't push
Be
him.
waving that thing at me, young lady. So without further ado, I'm going over to Tina for the shout-outs, for this week's shout-outs.
Yes, we've got some Facebook likes, and we want to thank Melissa Evans for liking us on Facebook.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
So much.
And we also want to thank Marcus McRae.
Marcus McRae. Love that brother, man.
Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah.
Now, you had some communication with Marcus, didn't you?
I sure did. Marcus reached out and asked me a few questions. I don't know if
Well, first
I'm
he
at
asked us
liberty
to pray for
discuss that, but yeah, he asked to pray for him, and that we are.
And I have, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome that we're getting folks that are giving us questions and are asking us to pray for them. We really enjoy that. So, you know, keep it coming, guys, because we're all one great big family, you know, and we need to be here praying for each other and loving on each other
Absolutely.
and so forth.
I know it. This has probably been one of the busiest weeks I've ever had off air, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I love talking to all the
GSR
listeners
family
and the
out there.
GSR family, piping up, letting us know who they are.
Absolutely. Well, more exciting news. We have a new country. So country number 89, yes,
Wow.
I said it, 89,
89.
is Greece.
Greece.
Wow.
Yes.
Welcome, Greece.
Welcome, Greece. We are so
Man.
happy to have you.
Greece is the word.
It's also a great musical.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it's still, you know, we haven't had any guests for the past month, I'm thinking.
I think you're right, Mike.
And as when we were out, when we didn't have a studio going and such like that, as you said, Father grew GSR during that.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Absolutely did.
you know, I've been a little concerned in not having a guest on, and, you know, because people, I think, are waiting to listen to a testimony. And he's still doing his thing.
Yeah, but we tend to get in our mind what we think God thinks.
Right.
You know, we think that the show is supposed to be this way,
Right.
and it's going that way. So we have to be prepared to go that way.
Yep, it's sort of like the wind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We can't see it coming, we can't see it going. We just need to, you know, we need to just follow his guidance and where he's taking us.
That we do. That we do. Mikey, we got any Facebook likes tonight?
She just read them.
Did she? Did I miss
Melissa
that?
Evans and Marcus
Oh,
McRae.
I knew that.
But let's, anybody else out there that listens to God Stories Radio, for wherever you are, please go to our Facebook page and like us if you have not already.
Amen to that. or www.godstoriesradio.com. And then you can go there and you can hear all of the prior podcasts. And as some people have already done, listen to all of them.
It's amazing.
You know, Matt Ellis being one of them.
He said he
wrote
did,
us and said, I've listened to all of them. That is amazing.
Yep, and our hearts are with that family right now, so we have you guys in prayer. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had another prayer request earlier this week, and we jumped in and prayed, and who knows how many else did either. I saw it on Facebook that there was a bunch of people that jumped in and prayed for this particular woman, and we got an update, and the woman had passed.
Oh.
Yeah, the good news there is that, you know, she is not in pain anymore. She's with the Lord, and she is now, you know, fully restored and, you know, has her joy complete.
Yep. Amen to that.
It's just hard for the
My heart
rest of
breaks,
us.
though.
Yep.
It
hard
really
for
does.
the rest of us that are left back.
Just what that family has done for us and been to us in the last few months.
Absolutely.
Heart just breaks for them. Wow. Anyway, we're still praying for you guys, and just know Father knows best and what's going on. So, all right, Mr. Mark Sinclair in the studio. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. You know, you look good.
Yeah. I would agree.
Well, you should. I want to be you when I grow up. Brother's got to have a dream, you know. What's going on in Mark Sinclair's world? I'm so glad you dropped by, man. I know it was spur of the moment, but he says, yeah, I'll come by and chat with you guys. He said, I got even a little testimony on healing.
Right. I believe that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
We are.
Yeah, so I do have that. But just to go back with what Mike was saying about just being discouraged with testimonies and all that you haven't had any guests on, I think the three of you know that I listen to all your podcasts weekly, and I always look forward to it. But even though you don't have a guest on your program, I still hear your testimonies. And I'll give you an example. One of them was one of the testimonies you gave, Mike, on the importance of prayer. When you say that you're going to pray for somebody, you do it. Right. And to me, that touched me, and it made to let my yes be yes and no be my no. So that was something that I got.
Well, you're not kidding. That changed my thinking as well. I mean, I put a lot of emphasis now on. I used to be very flippant about telling people, oh, I'll pray for you.
Yeah, we can be very casual about it.
Yes, we can. Mm-hmm. That's a serious commitment.
It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, just that, and even I can name a bunch of different things that I've learned from the three of you, and just some of the stories that you have shared with your testimony, and it may not be a full program on testimonies, but it's just little segments at a time,
right?
That will touch people. I mean, there are people who are still writing in daily to you guys. I mean, so that's something you have to look at as well. That the ministry of God Stories Radio is abroad, and people are looking to you guys for prayer and for advice and
encouragement.
It's all of that, and it's a powerful ministry that you have, and I just couldn't be more happier for you guys.
We got a really nice message on Facebook also from a lady who actually referred to it as a movement, and I thought that was quite apropos, because I was feeling the same way in my heart, that it just feels like a movement, but it's a God movement. It's not a movement that we're doing. Mm-hmm. It's a movement He is doing, and we're seeing it sweep across the land. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing to watch. I just feel in awe.
When we started, 5 years ago, it was like, we were getting into podcasting. I mean, what was podcasting?
Back then
and then nobody podcasted, or very few listened to podcast. It was a pretty niche market. I know a lot of talk radio and stuff like that. It was dominated, by a lot of talk and stuff like that. But just reflecting on the fact that, man, does God know what He's doing? Mm-hmm. He knew that 5 years from that point, we would be in the epicenter of podcast mayhem. I mean, podcast and live stream and internet streaming is where it's at. And we're here right in the middle of it.
And you've been faithful with it.
Amen.
I mean, look at back at the beginning, because I remember I was on one of the first few episodes that you had. It was just a kitchen table. And look what you got now. Now it's a major studio. I mean, you look what you've done. I mean, it's impressive.
I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. All the glory to the Father, I'm telling
Amen.
you, because if it was to, I tried to quit. I'll be honest with you.
And you weren't the only one.
I mean, I think Mike and I quit on separate weeks, which was great because one of us was there to keep it going. Mm. But the Father wouldn't let me quit. He knew, that he called us for a certain purpose, and he would not let us quit. And
now, let me ask you, how long ago was that?
I don't know. It's a year 2 or 3, wasn't it, Mikey? Where we just took I think we took several months off.
Right. It was around that time.
And now look at it, and just look at from if you would have quit at that time, and all the people that are being touched from that moment on to here,
right,
wouldn't have happened.
No.
Nope.
But God was involved because the ministry grew, and we didn't have our hand in it at all, and the ministry grew. So that was God.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Tell us a little bit about your healing experience, Mike.
I want to say it was maybe over 10 years ago. Yeah, it had to have been maybe 15. I don't even remember the dates anymore. But I used to work at, I'll just name the business. I would work for Home Depot. But I worked for the Southeast Transit Facility. So everything in the southeast of the states came through our facility, and we dispersed them all out to different areas. And one of my jobs was inspecting freight before it gets loaded into the semi-tractor trailers. And I went out from the admin office and walked out onto the warehouse floor and was inspecting freight. So I would say that the warehouse is like almost 1 million square feet. So it's quite large, and you have like 50 forklifts flying around the place. Mm-hmm. So I'm out in front of one of the bay doors, and I'm just checking off, making sure all the freight is there before it gets shipped out. And I'm looking at one of the pallets, and then there was a guy on a forklift that swung it around in reverse, and the tire pinched the back of my foot, and the counterweight threw me on the ground, and he proceeded to ride all the way up to my knee.
Oh,
so he rode up my leg, not across it, but up the leg, and he stopped, and I was laying on the ground, and he knew he ran over something, and I'm sitting there screaming, and then I could feel him cut the tire to go straight, and he drives off, and I went into shock. And the only way I can describe this accident or what happened to my leg is, those little potato chip bag like Doritos that you get? It's a little small pack that you can put in your lunch bags.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine taking that in your hand and then squeezing it and feeling all the crunching. I felt like my leg was shattered into 500 different pieces. So they were about ready to air vac me out, but they ended up having an ambulance that was close by. So I was going in and out of shock there on the warehouse floor. And then they get me into the ambulance to go over to the hospital. And they couldn't give me any kind of painkillers because they didn't know if I was allergic to anything. So I'm suffering through all this stuff while I'm there. And I remember I had a little flip phone at that time. That shows you how long ago before we had all the Apples and stuff like that.
The StarTAC. Remember the StarTAC?
I think it was a Nokia.
Yeah.
Little flip thing.
Oh, yeah.
I had one of those.
Well, my phone was going off in my pocket, and the paramedic pulled it out. And, of course, it was my wife calling because work already called her and let her know that something, what happened with the accident. And I don't know what she said. My wife was telling the medic, but then the medic's like, yeah, this really doesn't look good. So I'm already trying to prepare in my mind that, knowing how it felt when it was, that I was going to have a leg that was going to be amputated.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we got to the hospital, of course they find out that I don't have any allergies, so they give me some morphine right away, and instantly the pain went away, which I was glad. But I was able to sit up into the bed, and when they cut the pants leg open, my leg almost looked like it looked like it turned into an elephant leg. It just it swelled up so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember praying to God. I'm like, Lord, just get me through this. I don't know, how am I going to, what am I going to do to provide for my family? So they send me in to get x-rays and an MRI, and we come back out, and I want to say maybe it's another 30 minutes or an hour before the doctor comes in, and he sits down in the chair and he says, I cannot explain this. He said, you have like 1,000 hairline fractures everywhere. And there, right then and there, I knew that God did something, because I felt it. I mean, just if you saw it on the ground, I mean, my leg was even distorted,
Mm-hmm.
So there was breaks in it. But he's saying, and he was showing the picture of it, and it looked like a jigsaw puzzle all put back together.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get over this. I mean, I knew God put it back together. And I remember going back to work a couple of days later, and of course I had 9 months of physical therapy. I had to wear a special boot, and it was just a lot of work and pain to work through. I still can't really run because of it, and if I do too much walking and stuff like that, my leg will swell up. I'll get a lot of pain and all that. But when I went back to work, they're like, oh, boy, Mark, you're set for life. You can sue Home Depot, because the guy that hit me was actually on drugs. Oh. And
wow.
Yes. So when they went to give him anytime there's an accident, the person has to go in for a drug test. He quit on the spot because he didn't want to get that behind him. But they're like, you got it made. You can have millions of dollars. You could sue Home Depot. They have the money to do all that. And I was like, no, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I was like, how can I justify what God did to me? He healed me, and now I'm going to bank on this? I just couldn't do it. So I continued to keep working. I went through the therapy, but I used it. I knew that I could use it later for a testimony, saying, this. And that's just one aspect. I mean, there's lots of different things that I know God has healed me.
Kind of sound to me like it was a testimony.
Oh, yeah. So true.
Yeah. Well, those things are very, very heavy.
It was.
Yeah, oh,
It
yeah.
was 5,000 pounds.
Yeah.
5,000 pounds.
Yeah, but he could have lawyered up and he would have been set for life.
Mm-hmm.
Home Depot would have had to pay off, and I mean, how tempting is that?
Yeah.
Oh, it was. But then I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I remember Barb, my wife, we talked about it, and I'm like, I just can't do it. I was like, I can walk. I mean,
You're a walking miracle,
exactly,
literally. Yeah.
Where I shouldn't have a leg, I can walk now.
Right.
And people were just blown away that after they saw more of what I looked like on the ground than, of course, because I was going in and out of shock. I really don't remember much of it, but they're like, they just couldn't get over it, what happened. And there was an eyewitness saying they could see how far up he rode on top of me. Mm-hmm. And I remember at the time I was like, I thought how fast he was going, I was thinking he was going to continue and go up my back and everything. Right. So, having all that, I mean, it's just, I'm forever grateful. I really am. I'm grateful to the Lord that he did that, because
I don't know. It seems like sometimes we get put into situations that are tests like that, man. I had a guy blast me in the rear at the red light just a few days ago, and I got out of the car, I was more angry because I spilled my coffee all over myself. I was more like, oh, really, man? That was a $4 cup of coffee. But I wasn't hurt. I got out. He gets out of the car, jumps over there. I can tell he's scared to death. And he's, are you okay, sir? Are you okay? And I get out of the car. I look at the car, and I said, no harm, no foul. We'll call it a day. But, it's just something in you that doesn't want to take advantage of a situation like that. And I just know that somewhere along the way, I'm going to get shown that kind of favor.
Yeah. Yeah, what would have the old Fritz would have done?
I called Dan Newland.
Who's Dan Newland?
After what, though?
It's like a personal injury attorney that advertises a lot.
My neck. Oh, my neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, we had a lady do that to us, that Aubrey just tapped her bumper.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and she sued us. So I have to practice forgiveness, too.
Mark, I was wondering, do you ever pray for the man that injured you?
I believe I have. I mean, I have no anger toward the guy.
Right.
I've never seen him again.
Right.
Since that day. I have no quarrel with him.
Yeah.
I'm not upset. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there were a lot of my life at that time was a lot of work, for exercising and pushing just to even walking straight and all that. But hey, I went through it. I got to know a lot of people going to physical therapy from it. But, I think there's a time and purpose for everything.
Amen to that.
There really is. I mean, some of the trials that I've gone in my life, you look at the situations and who have you met during that time and, where are they now? And it's like there was a time and reason for everything.
Right.
If it was a test by God, I hope I came out well because I've always given him the glory in the whole thing. It wasn't something that the doctors did. I mean, it was clearly he did it. And there again, I know what my body, how it felt. I mean, and like what Mike says, that those things are not light. I mean, we're talking 8,000 pounds, and those tires don't have air in it, so
they're hard rubber.
It's like a steamroller,
right?
So it doesn't give, and that's where you're rolling over, and I'm just feeling everything just snap, like a bag of chips, crunching it in your fist, and for it to come back together, and then see it on like the X-ray. And he's like, and the doctor says, I cannot explain it. And we're like, yeah, God did it. I mean,
I can explain it. Yeah.
How many times have we heard, a person saying that they were in the hospital for whatever reason, a doctor comes out and I can't explain this.
Well, you look at from their point of view, everything has a scientific reason for it.
Well, that's it. Scientific. Yeah, right.
Who knows? That doctor may have questioned that to the point where maybe his life was changed. Who knows?
Hopefully so.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking that the man who injured him too, his life was changed, and you don't know in what way, right?
I don't. I mean, I don't know if he knew a lot of people or did anything with people outside of work. I really don't know the guy. I think he was a temp that was working there, and I know that he was driving around. People were saying that he was driving around asking people like, can you urinate in a cup, for the drug test. He wanted to use their stuff because he was, tainted. And apparently they were saying that he was doing drugs out in the parking lot on one of the breaks.
Good grief.
So, I mean,
wow.
It is what it is.
Right, it is. Hopefully he never touched another drug forever.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to ask, though, you ever look back on that, because I know your situation right now, and you ever look back on that and go, man, why couldn't I just be set up right now? Why am I?
I mean, I bring it up every now and then. Like, I think Barb and I talked about it a few months ago. It's like, just a man. But then I look at that I wouldn't be able to rely on God. I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Everything would have been easy, and then who knows, then I would have been too comfortable, and I wouldn't be seeking God out and things, and my faith wouldn't be strong like it is now. You know, is that...
It's so true.
And couldn't agree more.
Well, and I don't... When it comes to something trivial like that, I mean, to me, I embraced it. Put it that way. I embraced it. And usually when tough times, I usually know, well, I know usually, I know when I'm going through some tough times, something's good's going to come out here in the end, because
Amen.
I'm trying to do the right thing according to the Lord. Whether it happens now, 10 years from now, I don't know. I just know that my situation will be covered no matter what.
You laid up treasures in heaven.
Yeah, exactly. So it may not be here on earth.
Right.
Totally agree.
Mark, that is just such an amazing testimony, because I never knew that about you. And to see you walk, I would never, ever guess.
No.
I know. I didn't know that.
Yep. I even have like the scarrings back on my leg. You can see it. A lot of it's blended out over the years and all that, but I used to have like huge water blisters all up and down the leg from, you know, the water being built up. And I mean, but that's one testimony. I mean, when I was younger, I had spinal meningitis. And
yeah, I did too.
The Catholic priest came in and gave me my death right because I wasn't going to live.
Wow.
I've been bitten.
Both of you.
Yeah, they told me my granny saved my life. You know, that my granny flew in from Kentucky, and if once I saw her, I started to get better. You know, but they did the same thing to me. They said he ain't gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I still remember some of the nightmares. You know, from being out for such a long while, and when I was in Zambia, I was bitten by a puff adder.
Wow, that's a nasty snake.
Which is, here's another miracle in itself, because, all right, so, of course, there's no washer and dryers over where we're all washing our laundry by hand, and then you got to hang it out to dry and stuff like that. And I remember we got out of the front door of our place, and we were walking out through the grassy area, and Barb was carrying a big giant bucket load to hang out, and I was right behind her with another bucket, and then I'm putting my foot down, and something moved, and it was a puff adder curled up, and it lunged out at me, which I jumped up. But you know, if you watch any kind of documentary with snakes, when they open up, you know, their teeth are extended out.
Yeah,
right, they come out.
Right. So his mouth went on around my calf.
Ooh.
But the amazing thing is that I didn't have any punctures. I didn't have any venom come into me whatsoever. So that was another miracle in itself. I mean, because we were way out in the bush. So for us to even, I would have been dead, because I think if you don't get medical attention like in 10 minutes, you know, the venom is so toxic that, you know, you're gone. I mean, I would have been dead. I mean, that was another and there was a couple of guys that were, you know, I was friends with out there that were local guys, kind of referred me back to, was it when Paul was bitten by the snake and shook it off there on the beach there from the fire, and they're like, you're just like Paul. I'm like, oh, don't put me in that same category. But I mean, I count my blessings with that, because that would have been another thing. I also had a stroke, you know, where technically I should be half my body be paralyzed, but the only thing that happened out of it is I'm blind in my left eye from it, which there again, I still think that's a blessing, because I could be half paralyzed.
Right.
I'd rather be without one eye than to go through all that. So, I mean, there's, you know, we're talking about healing.
Boy, oh boy, Mark, your work is not done yet.
Well, I never knew all this about Mr. Marcus.
Mark and his 9 lives.
This is amazing.
But I mean, I think too, when we talk about healing and stuff like that, you know, I also believe, is there a reason for this? Is God trying to get your attention through something, or can you use it later on? those
Probably a little bit of both.
Even if it's just for this moment, Mark, to tell people that they should never, ever take their lives because they never know what kind of value they're going to bring into other people's lives. Because every life has worth.
Mm-hmm.
Satan tries to convince us of the opposite, but every single life has value and worth, and you have a contribution to make. And your work is not done until the Lord says it's done. And He's the only giver and taker of life. And we should never, ever take that for granted. And that's why you'll find most Christians are, anti-abortion, because they believe God is the only one who should be deciding who takes a life.
Mm-hmm. There's a woman that my wife was always talking about, and I think her name is Tony. She's basically in a wheelchair, and she's had like chronic pain her whole life, but she's always talks about how much it hurts and stuff like that. And you look at, I don't really know all the aspects of it, but she's always referring back to God, and it's drawn her closer to God. So I don't know if there's people out there that are listening that, some of the things that you're going through and you're looking for a miracle or a healing, where does God fit in all this?
Mm-hmm.
I would think just bringing it to His feet first before anything. And you never know, during the midst of what you're suffering with, could be used for His glory, and other people would be able to learn from it and understand it and better their lives through it too,
Mm-hmm.
I know Fritz talks a lot about the thorn in the flesh.
That I do. Because we were talking about my restless leg and stuff before we came into the studio, and that's one of the things I kind of keep quiet, and she's always after me about, why do you do that? Just tell people up front. I said, well, I don't want to be a bother or disturbance or anything like that, but I pray to the Lord to take it from me, but He doesn't. I've got a couple other things that I'm battling with and that I talk to the Lord about. One of them's this microphone. I don't know what. Anyway, is what it is. But I don't know why the Lord doesn't take some things from you. But then again, like you said, it develops a codependency on Him.
Mm-hmm.
It develops your character at the end of the day.
I could tell you, some nights I can't get to sleep without Him.
Right.
No, I can relate. I can relate to that, Fritz. And I can just watching you say all this, you can tell that the struggles that you're having. I mean, it's evident and it's deep in your heart and stuff like that. I know when I had the accident with the forklift, the 9 months of therapy, I look at, for myself, there was a reason why that happened, and I want to give glory to God and all that. So going through all this therapy, I don't have to wear, a boot or a brace the whole entire time. And I remember my daughter was very young at, back then. I want to say maybe 5 or 6 at the time. So we were at Disney one time, and she was tired of walking. And when she always was tired of walking, I always put her on my shoulders. And then I remember anybody that walked around Walt Disney World, you're doing so much walking, it gets tiring.
Well, you got that right.
And so I'm also having a lot of pain and all that because I'm pushing myself. But then I know my daughter is tired. So I have more sympathy for her. It's like, I know what it's like, but I'm going to take that weight away from you so you can sit on my shoulders. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things I can look at that I know where she is suffering a little bit, but let me take the weight because I know what it's like.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah, but also, you probably can't look back at it, but some of those therapists, maybe you touch them.
Yep. There's no telling how many lives during the journey that you that you touch.
Mm-hmm.
My mom passed away from inoperable breast cancer, and still to this day, there were nurses and people that came to know Christ because of her, and they couldn't believe how much joy a person could have and suffer from cancer. So, you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
I just know Father isn't done with you, Mark, yet.
Amen.
Yep.
I agree. No, I agree.
He ain't done with any of us.
Well, sometimes I get scared too. It's like, my gosh, if I went through this, what else is he going to throw at me?
Well, you look at the apostles, right, and what they went through, being stoned and shipwrecked and beaten and hung on trees.
Paul was one of the biggest. I mean, he would get stoned and then get up and go back to the same town again.
Yeah.
It's like, what in the world? I mean, that's conviction right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, there again, he's saying the thorn in his side, because we hear about all the different things that he suffered with, of course, being in jail, then all the physical stuff, being shipwrecked and flogged and put in jail and all those things. I mean, that's a rough life.
I can only imagine the type of arthritic pain he must have endured,
Or did the bones heal properly?
Right. Yeah.
I'd rather go be with the Father, but I got to stay here with you numbskulls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the verse that really got me, and it still sticks with me, is Jesus told Ananias that I'm going to show him how much he's going to suffer for my name. That really rocked me. It still does.
I always wonder, did he make him or allow him to suffer because of the suffering he caused? You know what I mean? Like, because he was a persecutor, when he was previously named Saul. But he was a persecutor of Christians.
That's true. That's true. Never know.
I always feel like I end up in Hebrews in some way or another, but, in Hebrews it talks about that things here on earth are a shadow of things in heaven. Mm-hmm. And you see a lot of those parallels all the time, of little illustrations where, you take something like that, like the suffering that he caused people. And so that's the shadow here on earth, but the shadow in heaven is, all the good, all the glory that Paul was able to achieve. He's constantly referred to as super apostle Paul, because I don't know that anybody else did as much as he did for, the Christian ministry, in Acts for the early church.
Yeah, they said that he traveled probably like 5,000 miles during his whole ministry.
It's phenomenal what he did.
Yeah.
And he must have been pretty old when he passed. He lived a decent long life.
I wouldn't say decent.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did, according to him, he did.
According to him, he did.
Lived to know Christ.
Well, he found joy in every situation.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Boy, there's a lesson to learn, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a tough one. To be joyful even when you're sitting in prison or you're in agony and pain, and to still manage to be joyful.
Well, that's what your mother did, Fritz.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she lived it out.
She did. Kept a smile on that face the whole time. People just couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it. Wow. Mikey?
I don't know what to say after that, really.
I know, right?
It was tough to follow that. We didn't expect this at all.
No, that's the beauty of it.
Absolutely not.
Lord sets that up.
Yes, he does.
Called Mark spur of the moment. Hey, what are you doing? Get over here and talk.
And then we come up with healing, and we find out all these things about what happened to him I didn't know about either.
I didn't either. But man, what a blessing.
Mm-hmm. So we actually got our testimony.
We really did. Well, guys, you know, if that blessed you, and I know if it did bless you like it blessed me, let us know. Write us at godstoriesradio.com. Like us on Facebook. What else?
Twit us.
They can twit us on Twitter. And we want your testimony. Want to thank Alexander Ray for tuning in on Mixler tonight. He's the sole listener tonight, and we appreciate you. I don't know where everybody is. Must have been a party we didn't get invited
Either that
to.
or they had same issues that Mark had, and they just were done with it.
Right.
Well, those are people just listening live, correct?
Yeah.
So I mean, you're posting it out where people can listen to it anytime.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And if they
That's
knew
for
that
sure.
they could go over to YouTube and watch it live and see our faces for radio, then we'd be fine.
You bet. Our faces are right there where you can see us.
You know, can I share something real quick?
Please do.
So, you know, I would encourage people to give a testimony, and it doesn't have to be a life testimony from birth to where you're at right now. It can be one little aspect of where you're at, because I gave my testimony once before.
Yes, you did.
Here.
Session 5, I think it was.
And that was just a small, it was also another, you know, probably a 5-year period. And
what? Well, they just all experienced, like, you know, a year's time in your life.
Right. So, I mean, it's just a testimony can be anything powerful. I mean, anything that God has worked through you and that others can learn from it and grow in their faith as well. So it can be one little thing or something that happened at work on how you witnessed to somebody and now they're part of the kingdom now too. I mean, that's a testimony in itself. I mean, so I would encourage anybody that's listening just to share something. Just, you know, it doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be a long, you know, years and years and years of where you came from and where you're at now. It can be one little
a God thing.
Right.
Yeah, we've had people write in and share just a stint in their day. And
I remember that one at a 2-hour stint one that day. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That was awesome.
It kind of got you at the end because you weren't expecting that.
Not really. But you know, it was a God thing.
Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was. Well, you got anything over there, babe?
No,
Well, who's going to answer to that?
I haven't experienced any real healing in my life in the regards that Mark has. So,
well, Mark was supposed to talk tonight anyway.
I think so, but I think that the Lord continues to work on me with emotional healing from wounds that I have carried in my life. So, he uses my husband to heal me in a lot of ways. And then, it's interesting because sometimes it's a lifelong journey to heal.
Yep. It is. Sometimes I just got to stop and say, Father, God, you got to help me. You got to help me heal. Help me forgive. Help me to put it behind me. Sometimes you just can't do it on your own strength. And he doesn't expect you to, I don't think. He wants
wants you to come to him.
He does.
It's still a process, though, because I'm still dealing with stuff from my childhood that I'm still working on myself, so I can relate to you, Tina.
Absolutely. Wow.
Good to know we're all in the same boat sometimes, isn't it?
You know, that could be a topic to talk about later on as well, if you don't have another guest, you know, on something, you know, struggling from childhood stuff. I mean, I can relate to that, you know, and I still struggle to get past some of that stuff.
And we always, you know, bring up parental validation, you know, seems to be a big thing, you know, and in most testimonies, you know, and things stem from the fact that people were never validated by their parents. So that'd be good. That'd be a good topic. All right. Well, we got topics here. We need your topics. We want your testimony. Bring it. We love each and every one of you, and we so appreciate you hanging out with us. So that about wraps it up for session 156. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Tina.
God bless.
God bless.
God bless.
Hi there. We here at God Stories Radio are reaching out to you and your business to sponsor us for as little as $10 a month. We need you so that we can continue bringing hope, comfort, and encouragement through the power of the Christian testimony. By your business blessing us monthly, we are able to bless others weekly. To sponsor us, email godstoriesradio@gmail.com. And you don't have to be a business to be a blessing. Visit godstoriesradio.com to donate securely through PayPal. Just press the button.
You're listening to the God Stories Radio podcast with Mike, Fritz, Trish, and Tina. Listen to us live on the Mixlr app. Also, be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio and you will never miss an episode.